Hey, it's Trinity here, and we're going to be talking about the movie Obsession today. More specifically, the topic of nice guys and how that can play a part into dating and just other things generally in life, right? So, to start off, Obsession was directed by Carrie Barker. Um, it came out in this year, actually in 2026. Me and my sister actually went to go see the movie, and it was really freaking good, so good. I highly recommend you watch it. So basically, Obsession, to give you a short overview of what the movie is about, Obsession is basically about a man who uses a one wish willow to have the girl of his dreams to basically fall in love with him and always be in love with him and obsessed with him. So we have Indy. So the character. Our main protagonist in the movie is Bear, and there's our main protagonist is Bear, and we have Nikki. We have Bear's best friend Ian, and Sarah. So Nikki, Bear, Sarah, and Ian are all four friends. Bear really, really likes Nikki. Right? Also, spoiler alert. If you have not watched the movie, I would definitely 1000% recommend you watch the movie before you watch this video. Sorry, also the lighting is not that good. It's a little cloudy outside, and so yeah. But anyway, let's get back to the overview. So, basically, long story short, Bear really, really, really likes Nikki, right? And to the point where he really, really wants Nikki to like him. Nikki doesn't really see Bear in that way. And that's okay. Life happens, things happen, right? It all happens. However, um, Bear goes to this shop because he wants to buy Nikki a necklace or whatever. And basically, he goes to the shop, sees a one witch willow, he buys it, doesn't use it, and he drops Nikki off at home. And basically, the rest is history. So there were a few things that I watched the movie like maybe I when I watched the movie itself was very very good. It was very very it had very good it had very good cinematography in my opinion, and the effects was really really amazing, and it really encapsulated a new I would not new but it really encapsulated like the fear and anxiety of not only just relationships, like obsessive relationships, but also it did shed a light on how obsessed people can be, and how also like different, like it also talked about concepts like the concept of consent and how that plays a part, which I will get to in a minute. Now, um when in me watching and doom scrolling on TikTok, I saw a lot of people have analysis about how Bear was really the villain in the movie, because there was really no, for in my opinion, when I first watched the movie, I didn't really see a particular villain or like antagonist or protagonist or whatever. I didn't really see that. I just saw that these were young people. I just saw that these people who wanted to have fun, and this normal everyday people. Also, side note, something that I really, really did enjoy about the movie was that these were all like fairly unknown actors and actresses. I don't know what that was. Hello. Anyway, I love that's something I really, really enjoyed about this movie. A lot of the actors and actresses in this movie were not very well known, so it was introducing these actresses to like a broader audience, which was really, really beautiful and chef's kiss. Um, but to get back to the main topic at hand, I one thing that I can appreciate about this movie was that it actually did talk about and encapsulate the how obsessed, like it. One thing I will say, it did talk about the concept of consent very very well, and I feel like it did do a great job at executing this. And more particularly, I want to talk about the nice guy narrative and what even to even conceptualize this. What even is a nice guy? So basically, a nice guy is somebody. It's typically a guy who treats you right, who it's a nice guy who seems very nice, who seems very innocent, who may ask you out on a date, and and but he's expecting something back from you, basically. Like, so that may be typically that may if you he takes you on a date, he pays for it, y'all may sleep together. That's how that logic works. It's basically transactional. Being nice, him being nice is basically a transaction for him, and he in hopes he gets something in return, right? And this is actually a concept that I, you know, stumbled across a few years back when I was watching movie therapy cinema, awesome channel by the way. When they talked about the movie Megamind. God, not yet. But anyway, let's get started here. So I wanted to really talk about this concept of the nice guy because this was actually something that a lot of people had brought up that I saw on TikTok, was that how Bear, the character Bear, was very much so like a nice guy. So to give you a kind of a doubt, like a like brief description on each characters, Bear is, like I said, our protagonist, and like I said, he's like your stereotypic like nice guy. He's like very soft spoken, very sweet. um Not very suspecting. You wouldn't suspect him to be a douchebag, or you like he's the guy you would probably at first glance you would trust him. You would trust him with your money. You would trust him with, like he was just a very nice guy, and you don't really expect anything to happen. Nikki, she's like a very stereotypical like cool girl, like like silver. She's like your very much so silver jewelry girl. If you know, you know, right? Yeah. So, and keep that in mind. There are a lot of little details in the movie that are very significant. You know, that are extremely significant when you think about them again in hindsight as the movie progresses on. Like I said again, spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, I would really suggest you see the movie before you watch this video. Now, with that also being said, when it comes to the nice guy, Bear, really did fit that stereotypic nice guy. Cause okay, so here's the thing. With the One Wish Willow, it has like a little jingle to it, right? It has like a jingle to it. And with that jingle, it like, so you basically make the wish and then you break it. And then once you like your wishes once you make that wish, that's that, right? Now, he makes his wish, and all of a sudden, Nikki is head over heels in love and obsessed with him, which is pretty much exactly what he wanted. And at first, it was all fine, it was all good and dandy. They even showed a montage of their relationship in the movie. They were just your stereotypic nice couple. Now, as time progresses on in the movie, you start to understand why it's called a horror movie. Because here's a few things first. What the one which like basically Bear took away Nikki's free will to feel how she felt, because Nikki did not feel that way about Bear. Nikki looked at Bear as a brother, right? Nick Keep that in mind. Nikki looked at Bear as a brother, so she did not have any romantic feelings towards Bear at all. Actually, in the movie, we find out that Sarah likes Bear, and Nikki was actually trying to help Sarah by asking Bear, like, "How do you feel about Sarah? Do you like Sarah?" Yada 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 yada. Okay, sidetrack. If it starts to rain, I will go back inside the house, but we're gonna finish this video. So yeah, and these are very significant moments in the movie because it plays into the overall theme of, again, the night, not only just the movie itself as a plot, but also just the narrative of a nice guy. And like I said again, so Bear and Nikki are are in this like relationship. In high, like I said, at first glimpse, it's not that bad. Things are actually going very fine and dandy. Over time is where things start to hit the fan, because now all of a sudden Nikki is, she's like, very just like her body's contorting in weird ways every now and again, or she's like watching him sleep and staying up and sleep. And there's even a scene actually in the beginning of the movie where Bear is actually practicing, like, expressing his feelings to Nikki, and the waitress is like, she's like a very like pretty, I have to put like a picture in here in the editing, but she, like the waitress, she's like a very like, it's like she's cute, like she has a cute little headband, and it's actually one of the first outfits we see Nikki wearing after Bear makes his wish. And again, very little details like that, but over time, what ends up happening is that Nikki starts to basically every little dark, twisted desire that Bear actually has is what starts to manifest for Nikki. And I mean this in every way possible. If like again, if you've seen the movie, you'll understand. If you disagree, politely put it in the comments, and then we can have a discussion. I love these kind of types. I love these kind of topics. I love these kind of videos. Anyway, so basically, long story short, Bear, he he is like basically and I think the scene that really solidified that Bear he really didn't like he because I think people also get the concept of being in love with somebody versus loving the idea of somebody. Those are two completely different things. You can be in love with somebody and love the idea. And Bear loved the idea of Nikki or being with Nikki. He didn't actually love Nikki. And you're going to start seeing this more and more in the movie. Nikki is literally falling apart at the seams and you can see it happening. Like you can see her coming back to herself. There were times in the movie where she would just like kind of scream and be like, "Oh my gosh!" And in the time watching it, I was like, I don't understand why, but like I understand it's like because it really wasn't like she wasn't like Nikki wasn't always there. Most of the time, Nikki was not there during this entire relationship her and Bear had. Nikki was not really there in the picture. It was more so the manifestation of Bear's desires that was there, and so in a way, it was kind of an entity in a way. Now, now with all this being said, it goes back to my main point. Bear being the nice guy, being the guy that Nikki want like or sorry, correction. Bear being the nice guy or being or and like I said, loving the idea of Nikki, it made him not really care about Nikki as a person, but more so his own desires. Because there's a scene in the movie that literally freaked me out. And it's not like because it was grotesque or it was, horror. It was more so because so there's a scene where Bear gets up. I think he goes to use the restroom or something like that. Something, but he gets up out of bed and he looked like the Nikki, the real Nikki, and it was like, Bear, she's finally asleep now. She was like, Bear, just kill me, please, just kill me. And he has the nerve to say, what's so bad about being with me? And then walks off. As if this girl was not begging for her life. She had literally her free will is not there. It's not there. Her free will is not there. And and it was so scary to me because I'm like, out of all that, like, does he not understand that that he's the reason why she's in this? And towards the end of the movie, where he basically had, basically the only way for him to end like the curse or the wish is if he dies. Like basically, if he dies, then he'll end the wish. Bear did not want to die. Bear wanted to keep the wish, and he basically would have just been sacrificing Nikki because of what he wanted. And so basically, because he knew that Nikki really, really loved him, he said, Nikki, can you make a wish? And so she wished if Bear can love her. And because she made that wish, that's when he finally decided to die. And I think that is the important part that we have to remember here. In order for her to finally break free of this curse, she had to wish for Bear to even love her. Because that and what that tells you is that Bear genuinely only love the idea of Nikki. Now, this is my opinion. This is not something that I'm just saying. Like, this is my opinion. It's not fact. It's not factual, but it is my opinion. Again, it's something we can definitely have a discussion about. And I think it's something to also look at when it comes to dating overall is not only just as for a guy, mm, not only just for a guy, but also just as yourself. I always tell myself that I never wanted to be a nice person. Like I don't want to do good deeds because or be transactional. But I want to be a genuinely kind-hearted, good person. And I think the two can get mixed up. A lot of the time, being nice or being kind or being nice or being good when they're kind of different, you know. And that's something we can definitely explore in a different video. I think that's something that we can, if you want that, and let me know down in the comments if that's something you want to like. If we want to like, we can discuss here on this channel. Um, yeah, and because of that, and because of those, like, because of the difference of being nice versus being good, it makes a difference. But the fact that she had to make the wish of, I wish Bear would love me in order for that to happen, like, for him to finally just, it's just crazy. Um, but yeah, that is honestly my, this is honestly going to be a really quick, short video. I didn't want to make it too long. Um, but yeah, let me know if you watched the movie. If you haven't watched the movie, are you planning to go see the movie? Let me know in the comments down below. I really want to hear your opinions, your thoughts. Honestly, I love making these kinds of videos. If you do want more of these videos, let me know. I do actually have some future videos coming up very, very soon. Within the next week, I'll be on vacation next week. So I'll try to film some vlogs and different things like that while I'm out there. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hi, also editing Trinity here. So something else that I found that was really, really significant in the movie was that, and this was actually something that, again, like I had like seen and had like, after analysis, I had seen on TikTok that someone, that a few people pointed out too, was that over time, Bear actually started to like Sarah more and more. And so, therefore, like Nikki, because again, she was just a manifestation of Bear's desires, like started basically dressing like Sarah, like mimicking her tattoos and like dressing more alternative, which was more Sarah's style, which was something that was also quite interesting in the movie as well. Overall, really good movie.